Hamas papers spark claims Gaza hospitals double as militant hideouts, charges the group rejects. Netanyahu vows no Palestinian state as he pushes West Bank expansion. And with Europe breaking ranks to back two-state recognition, the fault lines sharpen, from Gaza's war-scarred clinics to the hills of E1 and the halls of the UN. Alleged internal documents from the Hamas Ministry of Interior and National Security in Gaza, dating from 2020, have emerged, reportedly detailing how the group exploited medical facilities for military purposes, the Times of Israel reported on September 12th. Two documents, declassified by the Israel Defense Forces and circulated by the pro-Israel watchdog NGO Monitor, describe how Hamas allegedly used hospitals to shelter its operatives and leaders. Hamas has consistently denied such allegations, accusing Israel of manufacturing evidence to justify military strikes on Gaza's health infrastructure. Hamas's use of hospitals has long been a point of contention. Israel argues the facilities are being militarized, while international critics accuse Israel of targeting protected civilian infrastructure and worsening the humanitarian crisis during the Gaza war. One document, dated February 25, 2020, describes hospitals as key gathering sites for both wounded fighters and leaders during times of escalation.
These facilities are considered to be of interest to hostile security parties and an important source for intelligence gathering, especially in times of war, since these health facilities are a place of gathering for the wounded during times of escalation. And these wounded cases, i.e., people hold sensitive positions in the resistance. Furthermore, these health facilities are a place of gathering for numerous leaders of the Hamas movement and the government during times of escalation.
A second document, dated March 17, 2020, contains directives to restrict foreign humanitarian access to Gaza's hospitals, allegedly to prevent outside staff from encountering Hamas operatives.
Do not let these associations have their own locations to work inside health facilities. When a location is allocated for these associations, it shall be outside the main building of the clinic or hospital, and far away from Hamas movement locations, and only following security authorization. Medical Hamas members from the Gaza Strip must join incoming delegations, whether the delegations work in hospitals or their own locations.
NGO Monitor said the documents claim a systematic Hamas policy of embedding its activities inside Gaza's healthcare sector.
Medical centers in Gaza are not merely spaces of treatment, but rather they serve as hubs for Hamas leadership, gathering points for operatives, safe zones for wounded terrorists, and locations for secure communications infrastructure. This arrangement is fundamentally inconsistent with the principle of medical neutrality in Gaza, transforming humanitarian spaces into dual-use facilities that serve both medical and military purposes.
Rights groups and humanitarian organizations, however, have frequently criticized Israel for attacking Gaza hospitals, arguing that such actions violate international law and deprive civilians of essential medical care. Hamas and Palestinian officials maintain that Israel is seeking to delegitimize Gaza's health system and deflect responsibility for civilian casualties. Meanwhile, on September 11th, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu signed an agreement to push ahead with a controversial settlement expansion plan that would cut across land that the Palestinians seek for a state. He declared that there would be no Palestinian state, as he signed an agreement to push ahead with the controversial E1 settlement expansion plan.
We said there would not be a Palestinian state, and we say again there won't be a Palestinian state. This place is ours. We will take care of our country and our security and our heritage.
Netanyahu said that the project is about realizing a vision. Something very big is happening here. In August, the E1 project, which would bisect the West Bank and cut it off from East Jerusalem, received final planning approval. The signing ceremony on September 11th was largely symbolic, but it allowed authorities to move forward with construction. the civil administration of the Defense Ministry approved the plans, which would see 3 Forward 12 housing units built in a new neighbourhood of Male Adumim on the western side of the city, just east of East Jerusalem. Total investment in the project, which will include adding roads and upgrading major infrastructure, is estimated at nearly $1 billion. Advocates of a two-state solution have argued for decades that the E1 project would in effect divide the West Bank in two for its Palestinian population, sever Palestinian East Jerusalem from the West Bank, and severely harm the future viability of a Palestinian state, something celebrated by the government's ministers. However, Israel has long had ambitions to build on the roughly 12 square kilometre tract of land known as E1, but the plan had been stalled for years in the face of international opposition. Meanwhile, several European nations, including Germany, have decided to back a France-led proposal for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Bloomberg News reported on September 11th. Germany is planning to support a United Nations resolution on September 12, adopting the declaration led by France and Saudi Arabia, breaking with both the US and Israel, the report added. The declaration backs the creation of a Palestinian state, as well as the right to return for refugees. French President Emmanuel Macron announced on social media on July 24th that France will recognize Palestine as a state at the United Nations General Assembly in September, becoming the first G7 country and the first permanent member of the UN Security Council to recognize Palestine, joining 147 member states of the United Nations that have already done so.